You do a lot of work with brands as well. There's been a shift in how brands see athletes, how brands see creators, how brands see diversity, how brands see diversity in skin color, in ability, in all these aspects that make people who they are. I'm curious how your relationship with brands has evolved over particularly the last 2 years, but more so last 5 years.
Yeah, this is another like pinch me moment, because I remember my first sponsorship was with Under Armour, and I just felt thankful. Like my only experience, my only emotion was I'm just so thankful. Like I can't believe these people are seeing me. Like I'm the luckiest person in the world. And of course, some of that is true, but also I didn't understand my value, right? I didn't understand what often happens in brand relationships. And I'll move away from the specific Under Armour conversation, so nobody thinks I'm talking just about Under Armour.
Well, that was good right there.
We're
packaging that up and moving it.
Yeah, and we're moving, so keep that over there. But what often happens, and I'm sure you've talked about this before on your sponsorship on that episode, is that brands are sucking the life out of people who are really excited and who want to be noticed and seen, because we all have that feeling of wanting to have a sense of belonging. And then you're getting completely exploited. I saw this all the time when I was in New York. I still see it. A brand will provide you with shoes and clothing, and then in return, they'll ask you for all of these social media posts. They'll ask you to be completely exclusive with them. They'll ask you to write blogs. And it's like, okay, on the one hand, that's great because your story is getting out there and you have a platform. But on the other hand, isn't writing work, right? Like who in this world does not want to get paid for their work? So my first experience just being really thankful. But throughout it, I started to think like, wow, I'm like traveling. I'm spending like 10 hours on set for things. If I were a model, wouldn't I get paid to be in this advertisement? So why, right? Like, why am I not getting paid? So I started to just realize that there's a sponsor, athlete, partner relationship has to be one that's mutually beneficial and where you are valued for your work. And I feel really lucky that that's my experience now. And I am the first person, a lot of people text or call. Like I have like 40 Black, Indigenous, Asian women who, before they sign any contract, they say, what should my fee be? Does this sound reasonable? Should I say yes? And I always lead with first, like, how does it feel to you, right? Because even a situation that I might feel like is taking advantage of me, another person might feel is really valuable. And so I don't want to take that away from somebody. So I'm like, how does this feel to you? And then two, like, money again is really arbitrary, which is so funny in this whole like influencer athlete world because, right, like they want to.
And some brands are flush with cash, and it's just like stupid amounts.
And the thing is, like I've been offered a certain amount of money, and I've countered with another amount of money, and they just say yes. And I'm like, imagine if I didn't advocate for myself.
I've had this conversation with Amanda Brooks and like a bajillion other people, but particularly her. She's been like, yeah, I think I need to charge more because everyone just says yes right away. And
exactly.
and so she just like adds 50% and people still say yes.
And it's so frustrating because we know that culturally white men make more money because they ask for more money, they negotiate better, right? So you think about like some of the women who I talk to, I mean, if brands are working with these people, I love it because just know that I've told them to inflate their
price. They're getting paid.
Yeah, because it's like, and Myrna says this too. Myrna is like, I charge a lot because it's not just like, there's of course brands want the ROI of like you getting a person to buy the thing. But beyond that, associating with somebody like me, somebody like Myrna signals to other people, oh, this brand in some way must be living up to values that are aligned with Myrna and Alison. And that is invaluable, right? So I've just learned so much about equity. When you're $1 billion company and you can't pay me more than $100 for a post, then
it takes 6 months to pay it.
Well, I saw that. You tweeted about that too. Yeah, chasing the invoice is another thing. But they're just like we all, and I always talk about this. Like maybe there just needs to be a union where there are things like we will not engage in any partnerships where we get paid more than net 15, right? Like everybody else gets paid every 2 weeks. Why are we net 60, right? So there are just certain standards that I hope we can all agree to, because if you get paid on time and I get paid on time and then you demand to get paid on time, it's not strange. Like we're all just getting paid on time. But if somebody signs that contract that says net 90, then we all get sucked into being paid quarterly.
I was, yeah, right. How does that work for rent?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take an IOU from this brand. I was literally just having this conversation with Tina Mir, and she is strong on the idea of like a council of podcasters or a council of
Yes.
influencers, because I dove into this with Finn on that episode about sponsorship, but like so many people are so hungry just to get their first partnership that like saying yes to a couple of pairs of free socks is worth it to them,
Right.
for 3 posts and a reel that takes 4 hours to produce, and then that gets deleted and you have to do it a third time and blah blah blah. But that's not it's not equitable. I don't think that's an equitable way to go about it.
Brand should never approach a person and ask them to do work for free. Like we shouldn't even have to be in this position of being so eager to get our foot in the door, right? It's like, and I don't know if this is true everywhere, but there was a time when internships were all unpaid. Now there are paid internships because guess what? It's illegal to ask people to work for free, right? So it's like I just hope we move to this space. And again, like there are racial consequences here, gender consequences here, where and I'm talking about statistically overall, a white man will get paid more as a creator than a white woman, than a black woman, right? Because the inequity filters into this, the pay gap filters into this conversation as well. But a brand should not ask people to work for free. Like anybody listening, can we just make that a rule? And then we wouldn't have to be so desperate, because it is really powerful when a brand puts you on their page and centers your experience and talks about whatever you're working on that's really important to you. Like that is so valuable, and I'm thankful every time it happens. But just don't make people work for free.
I think there's a time and a place for it. I've worked in startups my whole career, and so I've been in the position where like, are we paying electricity or are we paying postage? And there's no budget for lunch. Like for team lunch, we can't even pay for team lunch. We can't pay creators. So in a position like that, where the product is expensive enough that you're offsetting like actual dollars that you might have paid, I think there is a time and a place for that. But like I've been offered like a $10 consumable product that you purchase maybe twice a year for like a post or like 3 stories in a reel, and this is unrealistic.
Absolutely. Listen, I mean, if Peloton is listening, you can give me a Peloton and I will do a post. Okay,
right?
That's
so
true. There's this. I randomly got sent this coffee, Runner's High coffee, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best coffee I've ever tasted. And they're like, what if we just give you coffee forever for free? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, I drink coffee every day. I love coffee, and it just works, right? Like, so I'll take back like, it's only about financial compensation. It's just about equity, which if we return it to my book, it's just about equity. It's just about creating spaces and opportunities for all people. And that takes not just like mindset shifts. It also takes shifts in infrastructure, because I can count the number of times on one hand where I've worked with CEOs that are not white men, where I've worked with brand marketing teams that are not white people, where the people investing in me and my projects are not people who look like me. And they've all been great and fine people, and I've been thankful for their investment. But 40% of people in the United States are non-white. So why is that 49% not reflected in C-suites and in retail store ownership and in event management, right? Like that's where the problem is. I'm not saying like, okay, white people, like you're done here. It's just like share the power,
Have some,
share the
yeah.
access to decision making and money.
Yeah, yes. I've got nothing to add to that. I completely agree. And you're drinking coffee, and
I know.
you need a lot more coffee as part of this change in infrastructure.